Dopamine. It is a magic chemical when it comes to connecting with others, to really make that strong connection. What is dopamine? It's a neurotransmitter. It's the chemical messenger between nerve cells. And it's activated with the expectation of receiving rewards. It's all about the expectation. You know, when you've got a pizza sitting there and there's one piece left and you don't need it, but you always go for it, you end up with an empty pizza box. That's dopamine telling you you need to have that lovely last bit of pizza. So from a development point of view, where did it come from? Well, the caveman, if he was sitting out there and getting hungry, if he couldn't anticipate the taste of the meat on the fire or the berries that they were going to eat or whatever it was, he'd sit there and starve. It had to have something which gee him up, wanting to go out and spend some energy to get the result, to keep him going. So it's all about thinking, planning, and finding things interesting. That's what it was doing to our caveman. And this is absolutely embedded in our DNA, and it still works today. Dopamine is made in the various areas in the lower brain near the basal ganglia. Absolutely in the substantia nigra, base of the brain, or the ventral tegmental area. There you are. A bit of useless information, but it comes from various parts in the brain. It's excreted. And it is important also because if we lack dopamine, it affects our movement. Things like Parkinson's disease are often a sign of low dopamine. You get in a joyless state. And also low dopamine could be one of the causes in obesity, which they're looking at the moment. From a speaker's point of view, whether you're speaking to an audience or speaking to one-to-one or speaking to a meeting, it's all about your mood. It increases the mood. It increases the focus of the audience. It increases their concentration and their memory. So how do you get dopamine happening in an audience or someone you're talking to? Well, the quickest way is drugs. Give them some cocaine, nicotine, or heroin. You'll have a huge boost in dopamine. And that's one of the reasons of drug addiction, because they get the huge boost and then they anticipate getting the next hit of the drug. And once again, when they come back, it's why they have the shakes when they come down, because it's the deficits in dopamine which are causing them to shake. But luckily, as a presenter and somebody, whether it's presenting to a big audience or whether it's just at a meeting or talking to your kids, there's a number of ways that we can create dopamine in the audience. The first thing is to make your stories really interesting. Put twists in them, things that they're not expecting. It's all about that expectation. What's he going to do next? I wasn't expecting that. And breaking up your stories. Give them a little bit of the story at the start and then say, look, we'll come back to that and go off in another tangent. Come back to the story, leave it, and go away again. You give them a hint of what's coming. But don't lay it out. We're going to do this, that, and the other. Then they're just going to go to sleep. We know what's coming up. We don't need to keep awake. Keep them guessing. Don't be predictable. It's really important that you play with the audience. You get their dopamine up, because every time you put a twist in, every time you hold up a story, they're getting another burst of dopamine, another one. So for one story, you might have 3, 4, 5 hits of dopamine, which is really getting them concentrating. Their moods are great, they're happy, they're focused, and the memory is working well. So that's where you want your audience. So always look at ways where you can spice up your stories, play with the audience, and get them hooked on dopamine.